For the day, Dave Rosenberg from Nodeable.
Yeah, and how did I get the last slide? This is like my coffee hour, so feeling a little punchy, so I apologize in advance. It's a new world out there of this cloud stuff, and for better or worse, we are actually a big data app. We have done some slight changes over the last several months where we started out, as Derek had mentioned, that we were sort of a Twitter for machines, and we were taking this approach that there was a lot of these social mechanics that we could use for systems management. As we went into our beta testing, we found that users didn't care. They didn't care about the social aspects. They didn't care about all the streams of data. What they cared about were really making their tools better, more efficient, more intelligent. That, by the way, is the Node Belly, who we blame everything on at our office, and he plays into a lot of our work here. But ultimately, what we started to look at was, well, how do we make data better? How do we make it better for users? How do we make it better for results? How do we do data-driven decisions? And that's really driven a lot of what we're working on. And so ultimately, what we found, and I came from a background of large-scale systems development, and I was a CIO and whatever, and everything was always about blame. How do I blame the IT guy for this screwing up? You've just taken out my website. It's always your fault. And then the IT guy always says, well, you hate us anyway. It doesn't matter. And so we really tried to figure out how do we make the business case for using the cloud better, right? And how do we enable more things? And so what we really do is we make your data useful, right? And so that comes in a lot of different forms. And since we've moved into this real-time world, it's a whole different ballgame. In the last 3 days, we've processed 2 million events a day from our beta users. We're about 400 beta customers. It's significant. It's a huge pain in the neck. Building a big data app is much more difficult than I think we had initially thought, but now it works, and so we're excited about that. And ultimately, what we're trying to do here, which is something that Ariel had mentioned, is that we're trying to bubble up the things that you should be paying attention to. Streams are great. Dashboards are great. Knowing what I should care about will save me hours of time, right? So it's a big thing in efficiency, and so we use all these different mechanics and algorithms to try and determine what's important to you, and we started with a very base set around a couple of different data sources, but the criticals, the summaries, the anomalies, these are the things that we can predict for you, and then we can start to tune them through machine learning. And this is what I was referring to here. So these are sort of more detailed messages of interest, as we'd call them, and these show up for you based on the analytics that we're running against your systems now, right? So we started with machine data, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. We'll start to roll out some new stuff over the next couple of weeks here, including a generic messaging gateway where you can send us literally any kind of data, where we start to look a lot more like a data sift or one of these other guys in the other tracks to be able to handle this kind of stuff. We still have all the streams available. We make everything accessible to you. You can search and everything is tagged. We do all this over the wire as fast as we possibly can. We handle tens of thousands of transactions at a time. We also have a dashboard that'll be out in probably 2 weeks or so. I get text messages every few hours as things roll in, so I can show them to people here from our development team. It's been a challenging kind of thing to switch from doing more Hadoop-oriented, how do we bring transactional data in, to really doing the real-time processing has been a big learning curve, but we've already seen the value even in ourselves. We had an incident earlier today. Nagios told us 4 minutes, we got an alert from Nagios 4 minutes after a server went down. Our service discovered it immediately. And so it was a somewhat idiotic series of events. So ultimately, the benefits should be pretty clear, right? We think the big thing here is it's an early warning system. I think something's going to go wrong because we know about you, because we know about your account, we know about the global. We can start to predict very quickly where you're going to have problems in this. And the other side of it is that the social stuff that we kept were the ideas around both the mechanics, but also that you can see the effects of one system on another. If you make a commit in GitHub and it pushes to an AMI and it blows everything up, we already know that because we know the relation between these things. We're in private beta now. We started in December. We're going to be rolling out the new version in about 2 weeks. We have, give or take, between 400 and 500 private beta users. At any given time, there's between, say, 5,000 and 12,000 objects. That would include EC2 instances, GitHub projects, things of that nature. We're still working this out. It's early on this. We think what we're going to do on the pricing is basically make all of these streams free. So you can have it, get it all in, until when you want the analytics, you have to pay. It's a theory. It's still early. It'll be all right. There's 10 of us. We're in San Francisco primarily. We have a couple guys in Denver, a slightly distributed team. We all came from open source backgrounds, so we know how this works. The main thing, of course, about open source is you get lots of people to use your product, and then they'll never pay you. This cloud world, you can force them to pay you. It's great. It's a whole different ballgame. So we've been experimenting with that. We have $2 million seed funding from True Ventures, and Mike Olson of Cloudera is on our board. And I finished in less than 6 minutes. Yeah.
I should say you're like Twitter. Not only, I mean, you